Hey, we're in the studio today and we're talking about the first of 5 love languages, and the first love language is words of affirmation. Tracy, would you explain what is words of affirmation all about?
Okay, so this is my primary language, so I'm pretty familiar with this one. So words of affirmation simply means that you speak words of encouragement, words of love, words of admiration for your spouse.
Okay, so can you give us some examples? Let's say that we've got a husband watching the video and his wife says, hey, that one's mine. That's my love language. What tips would you give the guy when he's trying to love his wife in that way with words of affirmation?
Okay, so I think for me, I like to hear things like, you're smart, you're pretty, I'm still attracted to you after all of these years. I like to hear things like, you're a very hard worker, you're very intelligent. I love when you come home and say, I love how you decorate our home. I love how you are with our kids. You're such a great mom. You're such a great worker, great wife. Just encouraging things.
Okay, do you want me to say that right now then to
No.
you? Oh, well, but that's what happens sometimes, right? Is sometimes I have to admit, for me, because this is not my love language, so this does not come naturally to me.
Right.
I don't really need words of affirmation, and therefore I don't give words of affirmation. Maybe some of you can relate to that. So I have to work pretty hard at doing this. So a lot of times you have to sort of spur that on a little bit. So you make
I have to invite that out
You do,
of you.
yeah. You make a great meal, and then there we are sitting there eating with your kids and myself, and you have to say, man, I thought that was a pretty good meal. So that's a good indication that we're not speaking those words to you.
Right.
So does that take away from it when you have to say that?
Yes.
Okay.
But I think this is important to say with the love languages. Like the beauty of this, that when Christ says that we should love our spouse the way he loved us, which is the selfless, sacrificial love, like it's a dance. I have to be patient with you. I recognize that it doesn't naturally come out of you because it's not your primary language of love. So I could spend a lot of energy being angry with you that you're not better at words of affirmation, but we've established enough trust in our relationship that I can be patient with that. But certainly when your words of affirmation are spoken to me where I'm not prompting you in some way, that definitely means far more than if I have to kind of jokingly be like, hey, remember, I just cooked a nice meal and you never said anything about it.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point. I would say husbands and wives, just pay attention to that. If your spouse is failing to speak your love language, I really think you need to patiently encourage them, help them along. This conversation will help you to do that. But help them to understand, because for some people, they just don't, it's so foreign to them.
Right.
I speak Spanish. It took me years to learn how to speak Spanish. And I think for some people, it'll take them months or years to learn how to speak the love language.
Right.
Do you think that it could happen? Do you think, Tracy, that a person who is just not good at words of affirmation can over time learn to speak those words?
Yes, absolutely. Because I think that if your heart is to love your spouse the way they want to be loved, then you'll just keep working at it. Just like we work at golf or cooking or art. Like nothing just usually comes out of us in a very natural way. So especially when it's more about giving than it is about receiving, that's going to be challenging. So that's part of why I think the love language is kind of a brilliant display of sacrificial love, because it forces you out of your comfort zone to find words of affirmation and to be clued into that in a moment to say, hey, I know that means more to Tracy for me to do that. And I just need to be conscious and aware of it and practice it like a golf stroke. You know how many times you're out there working on your stroke.
Yeah, it really is a discipline. I encourage you, as you're thinking about if words of affirmation, really any of these, if this is your primary love language or this is something you're trying to get better at, then I would really encourage you to practice. It takes incredible discipline to do it. I know for me, one of the things that I do is I've started for years now, I have a journal that I write in for you, and sometimes I do better than other times. But it is a bit of a chore for me to do that, to remind myself to do that and to write some words of affirmation in there for you, leave it out for you so that you can see it in the morning. So we'll put maybe some more tips, and with your small group or your mentor, you can talk some more about that as well. So you can use those questions below to talk about this first of 5 love languages Words of Affirmation. And then we'll see you in the next video where we'll tackle love language number 2.